Don't go more than 7,500 miles between oil changes. So let's pop the hood and get started. This 1984 190E has an M102 2.3 gasoline motor. So let's jack it up, set our jack stands, but not worry about the under tray like we did on the old 300 SL. The 190E not only has an open spot in the middle of the under tray, but there's actually a small carve out right next to the oil drain plug to help you drain the oil easier. Let's set our oil drain pan in place and get out a 13mm box wrench or socket to take off the drain plug. I have no idea when this last oil change was done, but boy, this oil is ugly. Oil filter access is super easy with the air filter out of the way. We'll start by removing the intake snorkel. Next, there are 3 10mm nuts that hold the filter assembly on, 2 vertical and 1 horizontal. This is an ideal task for a 1/4-inch drive socket set. I like to keep a small container for tiny fasteners like this, just so I don't lose them on the workbench. With the fasteners removed, it's time to swing the air filter up and off to the side. The oil filter housing is all the way back by the firewall, and the housing cover is held in by a 13mm bolt. A socket, extension bar, and ratchet is all you'll need to take it off. The bolt is pretty long though, and it has a lot of threads on it. Take your time and spin it off by hand. Lift the bolt and cover up and out of the way. The oil filter cartridge has a small wire handle at the top to help you lift it out. Have a plastic bag handy to minimize the amount of drips when you move the cartridge. The new filter is a corrugated paper body with a rubberized restrictor skirt for the lower portion. It comes with a wire handle to help removal and installation. It will come with a crush washer for the long bolt and an O-ring for the oil filter housing top. A quick wipe down of the housing area ensures that there won't be any dirt or grime caught in the way. The new filter goes in, just like the old one came out, with the wire handle on the top, and push it all the way to the bottom of the housing. Meanwhile, back at the workbench, it's a good idea to wipe off the housing and the bolt before putting the new crush washer and the new O-ring onto the assembly. Use a flat blade screwdriver to remove the old O-ring and rub a little fresh oil on the new O-ring when you install it. Bolt and cover are ready to go back on, just the same way they came off. There's lots of threads on that bolt, so run it down by hand first. There is a recommended torque value for that 13mm bolt. It's 25 Newton meters, so set your torque wrench and tighten it down. Be careful not to over-tighten it. It is a steel bolt and an aluminum housing cover. Too much torque can easily crack the cover. By now, the oil drain is down to the last few drops. It's time to wipe the drain clean and put in the drain bolt and its copper crush washer. Start the bolt by hand and make sure you don't cross-thread it. Again, a steel bolt in an aluminum casting. It is far too easy to strip it out. Get the bolt tightened down snugly with your 13mm wrench. It's time to replace the air filter assembly. It goes on just the reverse of how it came off. Don't forget there's 3 10mm fasteners. And don't forget the flexible intake tube. Mercedes recommends different oil viscosity grades for winter, year-round, or hot weather driving. I'm very concerned at how dirty the old oil was, and I think that there might be sludge buildup inside the engine. I'm going to use this specialized camera called an endoscope to look inside the valve cover. I'm concerned that there may be sludge buildup or excess grime inside by the camshaft. This camera uses a Wi-Fi connection to display the image on a tablet or pad. I spent several minutes looking inside the valve cover at the timing chain and camshaft. I didn't see any sludge, but I was disturbed by how discolored and brown the metal was inside. I am still a little worried at how dirty the old oil was, and so I will be doing another oil change in only about 3,000 miles. It's time to refill the engine oil. I'll put in just under 5 quarts of oil before I start up the engine and check the dipstick. I pour most of the 5-quart jug in right away. It's easier to top it up later than it is to drain if you've overfilled it. Never run a car in an enclosed space. Always roll up the garage door before you start it up. The new oil will take several seconds to circulate and fill the new filter housing and send the pressure gauge up to the reading at the proper level. With the engine running, take a bright light and look underneath for any leaks or drips, and also look at the back of the engine compartment by the filter housing. A hidden leak back here can make a real mess. Shut the engine off and let the oil settle into the sump for several minutes before checking the dipstick. The oil level should be to the full mark at the upper notch. If you have to, add a little oil now to bring it up to the correct level. Seriously thrifty owners keep track of their service intervals either in a notebook or on a spreadsheet. And everyone who changes their own oil should put it back in the original container and take it to their neighborhood recycling center to be disposed of properly. Thank you for watching, and let me wish you 4 M's, many more Mercedes miles.